Welcome back to Behind the Mind, the place where we dissect the most complex corners of human psychology. Today, we're tackling a difficult, often painful, and profoundly complex subject: the psychological reasons why women cheat. This isn't about judgment, it's about understanding the deep, often unconscious search for something missing. Infidelity, regardless of who commits it, shatters trust and provokes intense emotional reactions. But if we stop at just labeling it wrong or selfish, we miss the critical opportunity to learn what was happening behind the mind of the person who strayed. For women, the path to infidelity is often less about pure physical desire and more about a combination of internal and external pressures. Over the next several minutes, we're going to break down the primary drivers, from emotional voids to deep-seated identity crises. The emotional deficit, the primary driver. Let's start with the most frequently cited psychological factor: emotional dissatisfaction. While research suggests men are often motivated by the purely physical or situational aspect of an affair, for many women, the affair starts long before a physical touch. It begins with an emotional deficit in the primary relationship. Imagine a relationship as a bank account. A woman needs regular deposits of emotional connection, affirmation, and feeling valued. When she consistently feels unseen, unheard, or taken for granted, the account runs dry. It's a psychological starvation. She may love her partner, but she no longer feels in love with her life or her role in the relationship. This disconnect isn't always hostility. Sometimes it's just parallel living, two people sharing space but not sharing souls. The third party, the person she cheats with, often provides a lifeline. They don't have to be better looking or more successful. They just have to be a good listener. They offer attunement, validating her feelings and making her feel like an individual, not just a wife, mother, or housemate. The affair becomes a form of emotional triage, a desperate attempt to heal a wound that the primary relationship inflicted or failed to mend. This emotional connection is the foundation. The physical intimacy often follows as a natural consequence of that profound bond, sometimes simply as a way to cement the new emotional closeness. The key psychological distinction here is that cheating driven by emotional deficit is often an affair of the heart and the mind, not just the body. It's a pursuit of validation, empathy, and connection that has gone missing. Next, we move to the internal psychological struggle that often drives infidelity: the crisis of self. Many women, particularly in long-term relationships, can experience what's known as identity erosion. This is when a woman feels like she has merged her identity entirely into her relationship, her children, or her partner's life. She wakes up one day and asks, "Who am I outside of this role?" The spontaneity, the career ambitions, the carefree spirit she once had seem to have been put on indefinite hold. An affair can be a reckless, destructive, but psychologically powerful attempt to reclaim the self. It allows her to step into a new, separate persona, the one who is desirable, spontaneous, and exciting. It's about chasing a part of her youth or her former self that she feels has been put on a shelf. The affair is less about the other person and more about the feeling of being herself again, a self that her primary partner may have forgotten or stopped acknowledging. It's a misguided attempt at individuation. Closely tied to this is low self-esteem and the need for validation. Society places immense pressure on women to be everything: perfect mother, partner, career professional, and physically beautiful. When they struggle to meet this impossible standard, their self worth plummets. The attention and adoration from someone new offers a powerful, instant, though temporary fix. It's like a hit of dopamine that says you are still desirable, you are worth attention. This external validation momentarily fills an internal hole of insecurity. When a woman is seeking external affirmation to define her worth, she's psychologically vulnerable to strain because she's relying on someone else's gaze to confirm her value. Deeper psychological roots, attachment and trauma. Now we'll look at the roots that run deeper, often stemming from early life experiences, specifically through the lens of attachment theory. Attachment theory suggests that our early relationships with our primary caregivers shape how we bond with romantic partners later in life. Infidelity can sometimes be a manifestation of an insecure attachment style, an anxious attachment. A woman with this style constantly fears her partner will leave her or that she's not loved enough. Paradoxically, she might engage in an affair as a form of self-sabotage, an unconscious way to confirm her deepest fear: I knew he wouldn't truly love me and would leave me, or to maintain a sense of control by ending the relationship on her terms. She may also use the affair to generate jealousy or attention from her main partner, subconsciously seeking a dramatic reassurance of his love. Avoidant attachment. This style is characterized by emotional distance and discomfort with true intimacy. A woman might seek an affair not for emotional depth, but for a superficial connection that allows her to maintain a psychological wall. The affair is often transient or with someone unattainable, ensuring she never gets too close to anyone, which feels safer than the vulnerability required for true intimacy in her primary relationship. Furthermore, unresolved trauma, such as emotional or sexual abuse in childhood, can profoundly impact adult relationships. Infidelity, in this context, can sometimes be an unconscious reenactment of past relational patterns, a way to exert control in a relationship where she once felt powerless, or even a form of self-harm due to underlying feelings of not deserving happiness or security. These are cases where the affair is less about the partner or the third party and entirely about the unhealed internal landscape of the individual, necessitating professional therapeutic intervention. Situational factors and the role of anger. While internal psychology is key, we can't ignore the external triggers and the role of environment. Situational opportunity and environmental factors can significantly lower the barrier to infidelity, especially when combined with existing emotional deficits. Long-distance relationships, stressful careers that require travel, or even feeling trapped in a life of monotonous routine can all create the opportunity for a woman to encounter someone who offers an escape. The psychological danger here is the rationalization of, I didn't seek this out, it just happened. This is a defense mechanism that allows her to temporarily absolve herself of the responsibility and see the affair as an accident rather than a choice. Finally, there's the driver of anger and retaliation, often referred to as revenge cheating. This usually occurs when a woman discovers her partner has cheated or when she feels profoundly wronged, betrayed, or repeatedly neglected. The affair is not about seeking connection, it's about making the partner feel the same pain. It's a destructive way to rebalance the scales and regain a sense of power in the relationship. While it's a reaction to pain, psychologically, it is often a desperate cry for attention and proof that she is still desirable enough to hurt her partner with her actions. It's a relationship in crisis using fire to fight fire. Conclusion: the symptom and the solution. When we look at all these reasons, emotional deficit, identity crisis, self-esteem issues, insecure attachment, and anger, a clear pattern emerges. For many women, infidelity is less about a man she wants and more about a person she desperately wants to be or an emotion of need that must be filled. It is rarely a primary choice. It is often a symptom of a profound psychological or relational failure. This exploration is not an excuse for breaking commitments. It is a necessary step to understand that infidelity is almost always a symptom of a sick relationship or a sick self. It forces us to ask, what was the relationship starving for? What was the individual's mind trying to communicate through this destructive act? Understanding the psychology is the first step towards prevention and healing. If you recognize any of these deficits, a feeling of chronic disconnection, a loss of self, or deep-seated trauma in your own relationship or within yourself,